These are all things that Putin wants to hear. And you know that because his own spokesman, Peskov, said as much, said the rapidly changing U.S. foreign policy configurations largely coincides with our vision. Dmitry Medvedev, the insolent pig about Zelensky, finally got a proper slapdown in the Oval Office. Trump is right. The Kyiv regime is gambling with World War III. So if you are satisfying someone that we all agree is a dictator and authoritarian to that level, don't you think maybe the methods aren't that great? And that's not to say that we don't need to come to the table and say, this is what our peace plan is. These are the territorial lines that we are comfortable with. No one thinks that he's going back to a pre-2014 era. Zelensky himself doesn't think that.
I don't think it's smart, though, Jessica.
You know, this Trump presidency has been an absolute disaster because even the Fox propaganda outlet, yes, Donald Trump's personal media arm, is now attacking him for the numerous scandals of his administration. And really the best summation of it is that jobs for veterans are out, egg prices are up, and planes are crashing down. Donald Trump's administration could not possibly have gone worse. And like I said, now Fox is stabbing him in the back and pointing out all of their failures in a couple of clips that we are going to get into that have Donald Trump, oh, so furious with his favorite media outlet. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And it really does mean a lot to me. Now, there are a couple of clips that we are going to get into, but we first have to start with Donald Trump's Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy getting confronted right here.
Breaking news a moment ago now, the Transportation Department head has now weighed in. Sean Duffy is telling his employees they should respond to Elon Musk and his request to tell us what you did last week. Sean Duffy's here now, Transportation Secretary. And, sir, good morning to you. Others have said, hey, not so fast. Why did you tell your employees to respond?
I mean, every department is different. So if you're a SEAL Team 6 or a CIA agent or FBI agent, you might say, listen, that's not appropriate to actually respond to that email. But at DOT, I have no problem with the employees here saying, what did you do last week? And if you can't come up with 5 things that you did, you know, maybe you shouldn't be employed here. So again, this is an easy task. It happens in the private sector all the time. And so I wanted our employees to actually engage and talk about what they did. And I think this whole movement, Bill, is potentially going to make people go, I'm going to come to work earlier. I'm going to stay later. I'm going to look at what Donald Trump wants me to accomplish because he won the election. And I'm going to fight and work to make sure I help him accomplish that because I'm a public servant. I don't work for a party or a union or a think tank. I actually work for the president. And again, I think this goes to that point. Just tell us what you did last week.
Okay, so we looked up, today's the 24th. As of today, this is what you filed. 5 things I did last week. Terminated the New York City elitist anti-worker congestion pricing. That was number 1. Number 3, saved $10 million a year by eliminating redundant and outdated landlines. Number 5, toured Burbank, California, traffic control tower, and on it went.
So it's not just air traffic controllers. Bill, it's the technology. In a lot of these air traffic control centers, they're using floppy disks. A lot of your young viewers don't even know what that is, but this is really old technology. The communication system with the internet is not well served. So again, that doesn't go to air safety, but that does go to the technology that we use. Government takes 8, 10, 15 years to upgrade systems, and that's the enemy of progress. So we're going to do this very quickly. We're going to look at a year and a half time frame and do massive upgrades, improve the systems, help air traffic controllers, keep our skies safer. And again, time is the enemy. We're going to do it quick. Elon Musk team at SpaceX have come in and given their advice. Other really smart people have come in to offer their advice as well. We're bringing in America's best and brightest, whether it's air traffic control or advisors on technology, to make sure that, again, we have the greatest air traffic control system, safest system in the whole world.
Does anyone else miss when planes were woke? Those DOGE planes seem to stay in the skies a lot better. The woke liberal planes seem to not be catching on fire or flipping over. When Pete Buttigieg, oh scary, Pete Buttigieg was in charge, we didn't have mass layoffs of FAA agents and shortages of the people ensuring flights do not crash into each other, which becomes something we see increasingly often. Not only them actually happening, but the close calls seem to happen every day. Like I said, it is so undeniable. Even Fox is calling them out for it. And Donald Trump is clearly not happy about that. And so is the media exemption of him. Our least favorite press secretary on this show, Carolyn Levitt, who is confronted about not only the disaster at DOGE, but the disaster of its mouthpiece in Elon Musk by a Fox reporter right here.
Jackie.
Thank you. One follow-up question. So about the deadline, Alina Habba said that you have until tonight. Elon Musk said a failure to respond a second time would result in termination. So is that a real deadline? Should federal workers be looking to that guidance, or should they be looking to the agency heads? Like, what is the actual deadline?
So again, the agency heads will determine the best practices for their employees at their specific agencies. Again, this was an idea that Elon come up with. DOGE worked with OPM to actually implement the idea, and the secretaries are responsible for their specific workforce. And this is true of the hirings and the firings that have taken place. And we advise federal workers, unless your agency has dictated you not to respond to this email. In fact, I can announce that we've had more than 1 million workers who have chosen to participate in this very simple task of, again, sending 5 bullet points to your direct supervisor or manager, CCing OPM. I actually participated in myself. It took me about a minute and a half to think of 5 things I did last week. I do 5 things in about 10 minutes, and all federal workers should be working at the same pace that President Trump is working and moving. We have a country to save, and we want this federal government to be responsive to the needs of the American people who re-elected this president to have historic, massive reform, and that's what the intention of this idea is.
Can you clarify one thing, though? Because Elon Musk also said that a reason that they wanted this 5 things email was just to see if people are actually alive, citing that there are some federal workers who might not even be alive. So meantime, NBC is reporting that these responses are going to go into an AI generator to evaluate whether these jobs are necessary. So is it just to see if people are actually working, or is it an effort to maybe cut some of those jobs?
I have not seen that NBC News report, and I haven't heard that from DOGE or from Elon himself. Again, this is to ensure that federal workers are not ripping off American taxpayers, that they are showing up to the office, and that they are doing their jobs. That's what the American people expect, and it's a very simple task to complete. I did it myself, and I was more than happy to do it because I'm very grateful that I am serving the American people on the American taxpayers' dime.
The DOGE bags who are working for Elon are bad enough. Imagine if there was a spokesperson. Like, who would that even be? Who is the worst person that we can possibly imagine who would deliver even more shameless misrepresentation than of DOGE than Elon does already on his Twitter? By the way, I have some theories about Elon's Twitter. Everyone's always talking about, including myself, how often he's tweeting. There is definitely someone helping him, or he might just be that insane. There's no way he's writing concerning, interesting 1,000 times a day to the tweets that Republicans want elevated, or maybe he is just that insane. Actually, that's probably a reasonable assumption. But when Fox is starting to ask about how poorly information is being presented by the Trump administration, you know, we have reached a pretty low loan, Carolyn Levitt. I say it all the time, not only because I love to, but because it is true. And by the way, truth is a concept you're unfamiliar with. If I could break it down for you, I would say it's a non-lie, to speak in your terms, but you know you're bad at your job. You just are, and you can't defend any of these actions. Even Jesse Waters wouldn't defend some of the actions at DOGE, which we can see right here.
We run the world. This is America's world. He's our proxy. This ends when we say it ends. It doesn't end when Zelensky, if he wants to go it alone, go it alone. I'm glad we helped him. Russia invaded. We got his back. At first, it was the right thing to do. But now it's not. Now the war's over, and he doesn't recognize it's over. And reality is going to eat this guy alive if he doesn't recognize this.
Yeah, Jesse, it's not just liberal tears that come out of the horrible actions of Donald Trump. People's lives are affected other than the people you hate. Are you just understanding empathy? Are you learning how the world works in real time? God, Jesse Waters is these people are ridiculous. That's what I always say. They are dumb. Jesse Waters finally realizing, wait, if you just mass sire probationary workers, something he was cheering for, by the way. People that I care about get affected. People who shouldn't get fired to get fired. Oh, what a revelation these people want to be in charge of our government who don't understand how it works until they break it, and then they don't learn their lessons because they go and break it some more. They're incompetent. They're evil. They're dumb. Let's be clear. That is the truth. And a truth that the only good Fox host delivered, Jessica Tarlov.
You would know that what Elon Musk did, this directive, was a good approach to it if everyone had gone along with it. But you saw all of these Trump cabinet appointees who instructed their bureaucracies not to respond. Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the State Department all said, don't worry, if you saw that email, don't say anything. So if it is going to save America, why don't the rest of the people that Donald Trump loves think that it's a good idea?
Well, if you're in the Pentagon, you can't Elon Musk email him and say, oh, I staged a coup in Cambodia last week.
But that's an argument for Elon Musk taking a breather before he sends an email like that to millions of people and say, oh, maybe folks who work on classified information can't respond to this right away. Or maybe a federal judge who's going to get this email Saturday night or whatever isn't going to be able to talk about privileged information that's going on in their courtrooms, for instance.
I might just write back and say, see me, if that were.
That's a good one. I'll get back to you.
Especially people who want to curry favor.
These are all things that Putin wants to hear. And you know that because his own spokesman, Peskov, said as much, said the rapidly changing U.S. foreign policy configurations largely coincides with our vision. Dmitry Medvedev, the insolent pig about Zelensky, finally got a proper slapdown in the Oval Office. Trump is right. The Kyiv regime is gambling with World War III. So if you are satisfying someone that we all agree is a dictator and authoritarian to that level, don't you think maybe the methods aren't that great? And that's not to say that we don't need to come to the table and say, this is what our peace plan is. These are the territorial lines that we are comfortable with. No one thinks that he's going back to a pre-2014 era. Zelensky himself doesn't think that.
I don't think it's smart, though, Jessica.
I cannot believe it got to this point that quickly that Fox, and of course Jessica was going to tell the truth, but Fox is calling out Donald Trump. Delicious. I love a MAGA civil war. We're always going to be talking about it on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.